What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. This video is entitled The Blaming the Man Narrative, or It's Always Men's Fault narrative. The thing about it is, when it's always men's fault, people don't look at the downside of that. If the man does this, if men were like this, and if men did this, if men did that, if men, it's because men. Well, in a relationship with men and women, when you keep blaming a man and he needs to do this and he needs to do that, you absolve the other person of being an adult, because we're talking about men and women. So we're assuming we're talking about adults. So if it's always the man's fault, and if the man fixes something, then the woman will fall in line. No. I'm going to tell you why. They say men are supposed to be the leaders that has a household. Just because you lead somebody does not mean that they're going to follow. That does not, there are people who are insubordinate. There are people who are rogue. There are people who are contrarians, right? There are people who are unwilling to follow, right? So this idea, well, if the men get it together, the women will get it together. No, they won't. And the reason I say that is because when you keep blaming men for stuff, the women won't fix their behaviors. See, if the men have better manners, that doesn't mean the women are going to have better manners. If the men get organized and structured, that does not mean the women are going to get organized and get structured. How men operate and how women operate are different. How we're socialized are different. So if the men get the men together, and you're saying that the women are already together, and for you idiots out there that's like, yeah, they're already together. No, they're not, because when they meet the men who got their stuff together, they're not prepared to be with those men because they don't have it together, because they've been spending a lot of time with that narrative that if the man get it together, it's going to be okay. So why do you think we have all of these issues? See, it's not men's fault. Obesity with women is not men's fault. Okay? The bad attitudes is not men's fault. The daddy and mommy issues are not men's fault. The financial debt is not men's fault. Like the student loan debt, the credit card debt is not men's fault. So if men get it together, how are these things going to change? The mental issues that come from these things are not men's fault. Right? So to think that, okay, if men get it together, the women will get it together, that ain't going to fix the student loan problem. That ain't going to fix the weight problem. That ain't going to fix the family problem. So I'm doubling down and saying it again. But this narrative, when a man comes along, he's going to fix everything. Well, here's the problem. When you meet these type of guys who can actually handle themselves and handle somebody else, and handle somebody else's life and burdens, and bring prosperity and life to somebody else's life, who's going to bring it to them? See, when you want these guys to quote unquote get it together and have it together to fix the situation, you want them to fix the situation with the people who you assumed that they were going to have it together too. But they don't. So these very men, when you come to the realization that they're going to have it together, and they're these great men, black man magic, then you get he's not real. This is too good to be true. He's too nice. You know what? I'm going to do these things to sabotage the situation and cause strife in the situation so his real character can show. Why is he so laid back? He's really an angry person. I think he's going to beat me with a bag of Oreos. It's just something about him. It's just I just can't put my finger on it. Because you want these men to get everything together. And to a degree, what y'all actually are saying is, when the men are always bad narrative, you're telling these women that they're always good. So all the women who have been lying, they're good because the narrative is the men is the one that's always bad. All the women who are users, you're telling them that they're still good because compared to men, they're just using the men because the men are bad. They're just lying to the men because the men are bad because the men don't have it together, right? All the women who cheat on men is because the men are bad. If the men weren't bad, she wouldn't cheat. It's not that she's not a cheater. It's not that she's not a liar. It's not that she's not a user. It's always the man is the excuse. So even if the man is a good guy, he's still quote unquote a man. He needs to get it together, and for a lot of ladies who just are full of it, they use the narrative to their advantage because they never want to be better people. Because they can always put it off on a man. Now, a grown woman is gonna say that she's acting irrational and erratic and dysfunctional because there's not a man around to check the situation, which is stupid. But this is the part of that narrative, because this is how the stories get worse and worse and worse. Oh yeah, I was, I met this guy, but these men ain't no good. So what I did was, I was dating him and I was using him for this and I was using this other guy for that and I was lying to this guy and I was lying to that guy, but these men ain't no good. So it's not you. These mothers keeping their children away from their fathers is because they believe the men ain't no good. I'm protecting my child. No, you're just being petty and you're using that the men ain't no good and the men need to, step up and be men to fix whatever situation. And the thing about it is, part of these situations that they're talking about are self-inflicted situations. Like you got ladies who put themselves in bad positions and they can't get out of these positions because the men ain't no good. Or they need to find a man who's worthy of her so he can get her out of the situation that she got herself in. And the reason why she's in that situation is because the men ain't no good, not because of her decision making. See, this is where the narrative, if it's all men's fault, goes wrong. Because it's men's fault when men ain't around. And you got a lot of people who blame men for stuff when men wasn't around. Think about that. That was part of the protection argument. You remember, we're not protected, but you're going places you're going places where men aren't, and at times of day when men aren't. I'm gonna go out at 3 a.m. Men ain't out at 3 a.m. Most men are asleep. Men ain't going to the gang in the dangerous territory for fun. That's what men don't do. That doesn't make sense to men. But that's men's faults that you have a thirst for, that you got to be a night owl and you got to be in a mix of danger. Where the men at to fix this situation? What situation? Well, I didn't get an oil change for a year and a half, and my car messed up. But it's because the men in my life ain't no good. Did you tell any of the men in your life that you ain't got your oil change? No, they just supposed to know. But the men ain't no good, so I never told them because they should have just known already. Okay, so the men don't have it together because they're not mind readers. That's what we doing. Because the narrative is, if the men got it together, they just gonna do. These men gonna just take care of it without even talking to us or thinking about it, because they're gonna know you inherently out of your mind and you stupid and you don't know what you're doing. So they're gonna treat you as if you don't know how to take care of yourself or your life as an adult. And until you meet a man that knows that and can act upon you not having your stuff together and still make you feel like you are actually a genius, then the men ain't no good. It's like, what? That's a problem, because you never self-improve. And part of this issue we've been talking about in community is about sometimes females don't self-improve because if the man comes along, he the man is so no good that he can't help you self-improve, but he's your savior to self-improve, but you already good the way you are by birth, even though the results don't say so. But the results don't say so because the men ain't no good. No, it's you. I'm just saying. You gotta stop blaming men for everything, because maybe write a list. Did a man do this or did you do this? And if the vast majority of the list is your decisions and things that you did, it ain't the men. That's the problem with that narrative, when you're blaming the men about things that men didn't even do. But we out. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.